Welcome back to the channel, guys. It's been a long time since I've been able to get out and do some fishing. Today we're just going to try just a couple of new baits that I've got here. And we're going to fish this beautiful reservoir which is right by my house. I was only going to bring a couple rods and I ended up bringing a whole array of rods. But anyhow, I've only got about a couple hours to fish before I got to go do some other chores. Thought I would give brave this weather, and looks to me like it's going to turn out to be a nice morning. Getting a late start, it's about 8:30. Anyhow, I'm hoping just to pick up a couple of these bass, maybe get a great big one. Got my scale with me today. My wife made me a breakfast sandwich. Let's see what we can do today. There is nobody on the reservoir. I think the rain scared everybody away. Well, we are on the board with the old crankbait bite. Thought we'd give this a try and cover some water. Get my finger out of the way. And this is what this place is known for, is lots of dinks. But my biggest fish came from here, so I'm going to just enjoy the morning and see what else happens. Without a GoPro, it's kind of hard to film while I'm casting, so we're going to have to deal with this until I get a GoPro. You know, the water is got some good visibility for all the rain we've been having, and it's pushed all the wood and stuff up against the bank. So I'm going to slow down a little bit and get rid of that crankbait. I'm going to go with a wacky rigged Bizzbait. This is a new, well, that's new to me. It's a stick bait. I'm going to give this a try. I did not know that we had smallmouth bass in here. That's pretty cool, dude. Yeah. Anyway, the old Bizzbaits green pumpkin stick bait did its wonder. Little fat one there. Look at that. Sweet. Well, I noticed something just a little bit ago, that I actually had this wacky rig worm rigged up the wrong way. Not the wrong way, but not the way I was planning on using it. So now I got it hooked the correct way, and we will probably get a few more hookups this way. Well, that didn't take long. Hooked it up the way I wanted to, and about 3 casts later, underneath an overhanging oak limb, pull out this little shiner. Yeehaw! Look how that wood, pretty good visibility. Anyway, I just picked this one up right off that piece of wood. Still using the old wacky rigged stick bait. This happens to be a Bizzbait. Imagine it's going to pick up when we get in the back of this pocket here. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, anyhow. Came off the end of that log there. I'm brave and standing up in the Hobie. It's fairly stable. I just got bit again off that little bit of grass there. So as I keep working my way back here towards all this wood, the bites are picking up. Well, I just had a pretty good bite and was bringing it in, and all of a sudden it just came off. And I think what happened is he grabbed the end of the worm and just kept pulling and slid it right off the O-ring. This is a good excuse to try a different color since I lost that other one. Let's see if this here, I think it's called cinnamon something. Alright, that's the second one I lost off of here. So, off that piece of wood, I think we got a school of crappie and they're pulling the tail off my worm. I'm going to scale down a different size O-ring. See if that makes a difference. Alright, we scaled down to a 6mm VMC band here. And we'll see. We've been getting plenty of bites on this cinnamon color here. And we're going to paddle back over that wood and see if we can pull out a crappie. I think that's what's biting these. Anyhow, I'm going to do this a little bit longer, and then I'm going to tie on a jerkbait, and I'm going to go hunting some big fish. Well, I think we got one of our culprits, just a small bass. Came right off of that floating, it ain't floating, but that stump there in that floating tree. Boy, that thing falls so good. Shimmies and everything, just on a dead line, dead stick. Boy, these bass are good and healthy. She's nice, kind of cool, white looking bass. Just came out of the deep, coming up here to spawn. Got a little belly on her. We're going to leave the nursery, that little cove where those little fish were stacked up, taking my worms, and we're going to try back out here on these little sub points here. I'm hoping to get one right off of this bush that's hanging out over here off this little sub point. Well, my trip wouldn't be complete, or my fishing trip wouldn't be complete unless I threw on a jerkbait. We did have some wind about half hour ago that was putting some chop on the water. And if that would have continued, I'd have been really excited to throw that jerkbait around all these points. But anyway, that kind of quit. It was short-lived. Anyway, I grabbed the jerkbait rod anyway, and I'm going to throw a jerkbait. But I've got this Gambler's stickbait on here, Texas rigged. And in the water, when I twitch it and stuff, it looks pretty cool. So I'm going to give that a try for a little bit before I abandon it and go to the jerkbait. Well, that didn't take very long. That was awesome, man. I just threw down that bank there. It's got a lot of rock chunk. Look at the graph. And all of a sudden, I felt him pick it up. Gave him the old reeled down and gave him the old swing, and the old superline hook came through the exposed worm and got him right in the snout. That's my biggest one so far today. I know that's not big for everybody's standards, but over here, my home waters, this is a good one. Anyhow, we will get back to it. Well, I'm super impressed with this Gambler stickbait. I never fished one before, but it has a pretty good weight. I mean, it falls pretty good without a weight, and you twitch it in the water. It's almost like fishing a jerkbait. Anyhow, I've gotten a couple more bites off of it back in that wood over there. Nothing stuck. Well, the wind came up. We got chop on the water, overcast skies. So I'm going to tie on the old jerkbait, my old standby lure that usually catches a few fish. My biggest fish came from here, about 7 pounds, on December 22nd using a jerkbait. So anyhow, this color here we're going with, and we're going to work our way down the bank back to the truck, and then I got to get off to work. So let's give this a try. Well, that didn't take long. I got a nice smallmouth on the jerkbait right off this point here. I set up where I was upwind and cast it down into that pocket, and voila. And I just came through there with the Texas rig Gambler stickbait. Anyhow, and this is a good day. I should probably not even worry about going to work and just keep fishing. What do you guys think? The very next cast, after unhooking that smallmouth, I got a little largemouth on the same jerkbait, same little point here. With this wind kicking up, they moved in shallow. Well, we've been throwing this jerkbait a while. I caught those 2 fish on it, and that was it. So now we're going to try a jig. We're going to fish a jig all the way down the bank, all the way back to the boat ramp. Going to work it as best I can. I know we caught some fish there on the old senko, so we'll give the old jig a try. I think we're going to go with a living rubber jig. We're going to try the old greenfish 5/16 right here with the Baby Bizz Bug trailer and brown craw. That's a brown greenfish jig, itty bitty, what do they call it? Itty bitty finesse jig. Gonna give that a shot. So my fishing day will be complete if and when I hook up on a bass with this jig. The jig bite is awesome, man. It's just a tap tap sometimes, or all of a sudden it gets spongy, or your line starts moving, but I like it when it's just a big whop, and there it is. So we're gonna give them the old swing when we get the bite and see if we come up with a largemouth on the other end. Alright guys, about 3 casts into it. Oh dude, I got my jig bite right there. Look at that. Baby Bizz Bug, brown craw, living rubber jig, 5/16. Going down the bank. I flicked it out there. Hit bottom. I pulled up a little bit. Felt bottom again. And then it felt like a sponge. And I'm like, I'm going to look like an idiot, but nobody's around. I'm going to swing on it. And you know what they say? Hooksets are free. You might get ribbed by your partner or your buddy, fishing buddy, if you, what are you swinging at? But when you come back and you got a largemouth on the other end, hooksets are free. There we go. We're going to keep working it right down the bank. We're going to go back to this stump that's in the water where I lost 2 of those Bizzbaits Sassy sticks because I had the wrong size O-ring, and see if we can't get a fish to bite the jig. Okay, so I flipped it right in there, let it sink on a slack line, slowly went to pick up on it, knowing that the bottom's only 11 feet deep, 12 feet deep right here. Never felt the jig, never felt the bottom. I'm like, you know what? Hooksets are free. I'm swinging. So I gave her the old 1-2 out of the park swing and come up with a largemouth. Can I have another? I just flicked it out there again. This time I went over against that piece of wood. Used the Baby Bizz Bug again, flicked it out there. This time it was a no-brainer. My line started swimming away, so I swung for the bank. And we got another little male. That first one was a female. She was all swelled up, hadn't even spawned yet. These fish aren't the biggest fish around here, but there are some giants in here, but that's about what I've been catching a lot lately. Cool. I am sold on the jig bite. I just looked at the time and it's it's 10 minutes to noon, so I got to get going. But I want to fish. I want to flip into that wood over there. So we're going to come here stealth mode and get this thing rolling. Get this rod off my foot. Okay. Sun came out, wind quit, got rid of the jerkbait. Decided, man, you got all those jigs, you better start fishing them. We're going to come down in here. This is where we're catching them with the senko, you know, I mean, I guess I was trying to build my confidence up, but man, I should have been using this jig all morning. Here we go, boys and girls. We're going to slip in here to this tight wood. I'm going to stand up in the Hobie and we're going to boat flip a 6-pounder out here. You ready? Let's get some. Well, I had one. Gave the old 1-2 punch. He wrapped me around this oak limb back in there, and now I got to figure out how to get. I got to sit down, remaneuver, and retrieve my jig. He ain't on the end of it anymore. Well, I got it out of that wood there. I had to get the paddle and maneuver myself in there, but looks like that bass got away with a claw. We're going to fish this thing with one claw and see how we do. There's plenty of crawdads swimming out there with only one claw that lived to tell the story also. Let's see if we can get one before we get back to the boat ramp. Man, I'm hitting some more good water, these points, getting back to the boat ramp, and I haven't gotten bit since I lost one of the pinchers on this craw. I know it's probably shouldn't matter, but I'm going to go ahead and rather than retie on or rethread on another craw, I'm going to switch out to a different color with double claws and see if nothing else is going to boost my confidence that I'm going to catch one. So let's just keep trying it. Okay, we tied on a brand new jig with a brand new trailer. This has got brown living rubber and then some accents of blue silicone skirt. The jig is a green pumpkin on top and it's got that blue hue in the bottom. This totally is going to catch fish. And the water clarity is, I believe, good enough that should get them. We've only got about a quarter mile of bank before we hit the boat ramp. Let's see what we can do. All right, well, I got the old thump on the jig and I reeled down and I was waiting for one more thump. I didn't feel it and I went ahead and jerked and he wasn't there. So right off that piece of wood there was a bass. He stuck it in his mouth and spit it right back out. So, got to be a little quicker. We're going to try it again. Well, I didn't catch anything on the new colored jig. Managed to get a rat's nest that's so bad I got to go home and work on it or sacrifice a bunch of line. So I picked up the old DC Shimano with a little flipping jig with a chunk on it, black and blue. We're going to give that a shot. This reel here is a little more forgiving than that one I was using. Thought I'd get one off that stump, but didn't happen. Anyway, we are winding down. There he is. On the old black and blue chunk, power bait. Right off this point. She's spawning, getting ready. Got a big fat belly on her. They're not very big in this lake for the most part, but they still got to spawn. Anyhow, classic one there. The old line just started swimming off. Just reeled down and jerk. Oh, I was going to wrap it up, you guys, and I flipped it over here underneath this hawthorn that's blooming, and my jig actually started swimming off. I jerked back, and there was something solid there, and I thought, oh, I sore-lipped it, so I flicked it back out there, and it took off again, and this time when I came back, my trailer stayed with the bass. I'm sitting on top of him right now, so... Oh, I'm going to say that was probably my 5-pounder, 4-pounder. It was a good solid thumb. Yeah, probably not, but anyhow, I'm going to dig around, try to find another one of those trailers, back out of here slowly and try it one more time. Alright, so I got another one of these trailers here, and I took the bottom of it here and trimmed it down with my scissors so it's a lot thinner at the tip. See that? So anyway, we're going to go ahead and hook it to the jig here. Got to chunk of worm here that keeps the chunk out near the end of the hook. And hopefully this bass will forget that I hooked on him twice, and maybe he'll go for it one more time. Okay, I've got to get a GoPro because I beat this bush up until I convinced myself might as well just keep fishing the rest of the day and go to the other side of the lake. And then the bass picked up the jig again and started swimming off, and I gave it the old hook set, and it came out of the water, and it was maybe a pound, pound and a half, so at least it wasn't the big 5-pounder. So I'm going to keep fishing a little bit longer. It's been a great day. I'm ending on a jig bite. I'm going to just work that one until either I don't catch any more and quit, or I just keep fishing the jig. But oh, it's a great day. The sun finally did come out, and I might just keep fishing. I might not even go to work today. So decisions. All right. Until next time, if you don't see me with a big bass or something, just remember, hook sets are free. All right, that's the second time that this little female picked up the bait off of that stump right there. I got to learn to swing a little harder on my hook sets, especially when I got a stiff weed guard. Look at her belly there. Well, that one picked it up and choked it, and I just swung real hard and got it. Not a bad little bass. Boy, that Baby Bizz Bug with that slaunch sauce or whatever they got on there, dude, is calling them in. Another fatty. She hasn't spawned yet. Look at that. Right on. Well, we're going to wrap this day up. It's been a very successful day. The water's up pretty good, and I think that improved my jig bite. I enjoyed throwing on the Berkeley power bait chunk, and then also the Bizzbait Baby Bizz Bug. Both those baits did really well today. Anyhow, great day to be on the water. It's only going to stay a couple hours and brave the weather, and anyhow I ended up staying until 3 o'clock. So I guess you can see my scary mug right there, but anyhow, really enjoying this kayak fishing, and hope you guys stay tuned for the next episode.